Welcome to the Lambeth Made Podcast. Today I'm your host, Fabian, here with
Tyra.
And we have this very, very, very special guest. If you can introduce yourself.
My name's Shola from Real Talk Mentors, representing I Am In Me charity.
Mm-hmm. And could you tell us a bit more about what you do and I Am Me and the sort of help you bring to like the young people here, such as myself and Tyra?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we like to call present ourselves as intervention specialists. Yeah, so working with young people, we don't just call it mentoring. We're all about counselling, mentoring, and the whole thing of empowering young people in the community. So we're really passionate about it. We're really intentional about it. It's so up close and personal to us, being parents already ourselves. So we use that kind of as a sort of template to then work with other young people in the community and wider boroughs.
You've lived in Lambeth like most of your life. How has that shaped your perspective?
Well, going back, so yeah, I mean, when I first came back from Nigeria many years ago, as a young man, moved to the Lambeth area. I was in Stockwell. Later on, moved up to West Norwood, and then just seeing how social issues, are so important. They're important to us. We like to sort of tend to say things are working like this or working like that in society, but we don't always realise that what makes up a society is a community. What makes up a community is a family. What makes up a family are the individuals. And so, coming back in as a young man, single, no children, I began to see the importance then of looking at those social things, which would eventually impact on me now, you know what I mean, as a father, as a grandfather, and then seeing how things need to be knit together, for the betterment of our young people especially, and then looking at how the mentoring perspective sort of fits hand in glove, because without guidance, and good role model experiences, that's just going to impact the community sometimes in a negative way. So I've seen that whole perspective of coming in as a single person, no family, and then to now coming full circle, seeing how it all works together.
Wow, that's actually beautiful.
What do you remember most about being a young person here?
Oh wow, you're going to take me back a few
minutes down memory lane.
As a young person in this area, well, as I said, I was single on my own. I was kind of lost, to be honest. I'll freely say it. We've got to be real. Came back from Nigeria, as I said, as a young man, single, had to rebuild, restart myself. I learned how to be independent. I learned also through the work. I was doing different jobs. I was just kind of winging it. Didn't really have a sense of purpose. And obviously that kind of shaped how I am now, because again, looking at the opposites, it's all about identifying what our purpose is in life, and being focused and driven in on it. And so, going back those years, I said, learning how to be independent, build myself, learning how to forge relationships, being in positions then through my work, then being put into positions to help other people, through the resources being built up through work and whatnot. So, yeah, as a young person, it was, really finding my feet, and again, without that kind of peer guidance, being lonely. Sometimes looking to friends and peers thinking, well, look, they've got that now, how come I haven't? You know what I mean? Not realising that everything has its time, everything has its place. And so, yeah, as I said, it was a kind of period of really finding myself, really sort of finding who I actually am.
I think that's kind of like similar to like me now, because I'm like a young person still trying to like figure out where I want to be. So I want to like know personally, what were some of the personal struggles you had whilst trying to like make that transition, if that makes sense?
Oh, Fabian, I had loads of struggles, loads of mistakes. But what I would say is that, I heard a saying one time, it says that your scars can eventually become trophies, and so through all those mistakes and a lot of flaws, I was able to learn a lot of lessons, from those things. And one of the main things I found was in terms of work, having stable employment, gainful employment, understanding that, to build that employment, have that steady employment, it then builds you the resources. You can then, create savings, you're able to do quite a lot of things. But if you're just getting your money in, spending it, and sometimes it's not just spending it willy-nilly. I think accommodation was a crazy thing those days where, you know, as it probably is still today, most of your income's going out on your accommodation. Mm-hmm. And then you think, well, you know, what's all this about? So it just becomes like a kind of monotonous cycle. And you know, and again, if you're not having that that kind of mentorship and guidance and encouragement, you know, you're going to find yourself feeling a bit kind of lost and depleted. And like I said, I didn't really have that at that kind of age. I'm talking about sort of early to mid 20s. I just felt lonely. And thinking back now, wish that I could have had, you know, what I know now, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tapping into what you're saying now, I kind of relate to where you're coming from, because I've been able to come through it by the grace of God. And we just want to give back, push that back into the community, into our young people now, and show that, look, it's not all lost, you know what I mean? But if we've got that guidance, if we speak out, if we can communicate, if we can forge relationships with like-minded people, you know, that help and guidance can come.
Yeah. I really like the line that you said that your scars then eventually become your trophy, because I feel like that's almost a perfect reflection of what you do and what you stand for. I feel like you're basically bridging, or the bandages that you've had to cover, you're bridging it for your young people and navigating them and ensuring that they don't make the same mistakes as you do. And I feel like that's one thing that we all need. Sometimes, especially as men, don't know how to ask for help. But knowing that, as you said, being able to have the safe space or the facilities open to you sometimes is all you need. Because, as I said, talking's one thing, but actually getting the help and the action and someone who actually cares is priceless. Definitely. So, like, I really respect what you do, and I feel like there's a big difference with like counselling and mentorship, because I feel like counselling makes you address the past, when mentorship leads you, and I feel like that's what the youth really needs right now.
Yeah, I think you're so right, Sarah. I think I believe with all my heart, not just think it. I mean, like I said to you, I'm trying to talk to you today from real, raw, lived experience. You know, like you say, we can talk as much as we want, but if we're not showing that real empathy towards the situation, towards our young people, it just kind of goes over people's heads. And because we've been there and we know those pains and we know those struggles, and, you know, I always say lines like, listen, the buck stops here. It stops right here. That I'm not going to allow my own children, my grandchildren, to go through what they went through. Yeah. And then I use those as a kind of point of reference, if you like, to other young people. Mm-hmm. So the care and empathy I have towards young people in general is just so real, so personal, because, you know, it's a mad world out there, and you know, you got to have people who are going to stand in the gap. You know, like I said, but we can't do it ourselves. I say it's literally by the grace of God, because situations that we went through when we were younger, it couldn't have just been in our own strength, if that makes sense, to have come through them, you know? And I think that kind of builds up the faith aspect, if you like, and it starts to all click into place.
And one thing I actually know is that as a youth myself, sometimes hearing from like an adult advice, you don't really understand it, because I feel like sometimes you got to experience it before you actually understand it. Like there's some saying said, if you don't hear, you will feel. If you guys said it. Yeah. And I feel like as an adult, how do you like allocate your way around to actually get through to the youth?
I think my own children come into play with this, because the way that I can navigate and work things out with my own children, like I said, I kind of use that as a kind of point of reference, if you like, as a kind of sounding board. I still feel very connected to young people, even though I'm a couple of generations away, but I still feel so grounded and connected with them through some of their challenges, their highs and lows. And then I'm able to then connect with young people in the community, you know, using those same kind of strategies. And there's no kind of one size fits all. Everything's got to be so unique, you know what I mean? So for example, what you need, Tyra, what you need, Fabian, obviously they're going to be two totally different things, not just because it's male and female, but just different circumstances. Yeah. And, you know, one of our strap lines in our organizations is, what do you need? Right? What do you need? Because again, that was said to me in my younger days, and I was like, wow, no one's ever asked me, what do I need? I've always been told, you're going to do this, I think you should do that, I suggest, you know what I mean? There was never a question of what do you need? And when you hear that question, I think it then opens a young person up thinking, wow, this person actually does care about me. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the way in then, to answer your question, I think that's the way in that we can then sort of open that area up and then gain that trust, gain the confidence, you know, of our young people and just start to have a conversation.
I think that's lovely. Still leading on, like running into young people, what I want to know is what's one real conversation with a young person that you've really had that stuck with you and why?
There's been a few, but I think the one that really sticks out, and I think it was a kind of alleviation for me personally as well, was when I shared an experience that I had many moons ago when I was a young guy. I had a death row experience, and you know, I was talking with this young gentleman. We were just talking and sort of bantering, and you know, he was involved in some certain things in the community. And when I shared that experience, he was like, "Whoa!" And now I knew that I'd now got his attention, so I shared it in a way not to sort of elevate myself, but just to show him that, listen, what you think you're doing and you think this is the one, it's not, totally not. And I shared that experience, as I said, being on death row, you know, not a prison sentence or a term, but being ready to face a firing squad through some of the things that I'd done. Not proud of them, but I'm just being real and being raw. And, you know, I shared that experience, and he was it really took him. And I think from there he saw that because I'd shared that with him, like I'd been so vulnerable. Yeah. He was then able to then be so vulnerable with me, and it just forged a great relationship. And we've had that relationship now for over, I'd say about probably about 13, 14 years.
Wow.
You know, so it was that rawness and that realness, because as I said, you know, your scars eventually can become your trophies. So that was a scar point for me. I was so ashamed of that experience. I buried it, I suppressed it for so many years. But then that didn't allow me to be the person that I really am, because I was suppressing, you know what I mean? So by showing him that, listen, this is me, you know. You know, in life, guys, sometimes we like to put our best foot forward. We do, you know, we talk about our credentials, we talk about qualifications, I'm this, I'm that. And I've been into places now, my intro has been like, my name's Shola, I'm a death row survivor. They're like, oh, what's next? You know what I mean? And then you grab that attention. So I would say that's probably the rawest and the realest conversation I've had, yeah.
Yeah, I really feel like that's what actually stands out about you, is that you're really just authentically yourself. And as you said, that's how you draw people to each other. Like I feel like generally with the the education system and stuff, it's almost set up like, I won't say a prison, but we're all kind of orchestrated to just, you know, follow the guidelines and stuff. And the youth don't feel safe space to go to their teachers and stuff because they don't know how to relate to them. They're just coming to do their job and then they're going. So I feel like that's where the division between the adults and the youth, and sometimes with parents as well, they don't allow their children to have that, you know, that safe space until it's too late, and then you're demanding them to, you know, tell you what's going on. And I feel like, especially what you mentioned with your conversation with the boy, that's exactly what I'm trying to say, is that if you didn't actually open up, you probably wouldn't even felt safe enough to, you know, to even listen to what you're saying. And your vulnerability, which some men actually look like as a weakness, actually gave you strength and gave him strength. And I feel like that's a key thing that I feel like everyone in general needs to take on. That your weaknesses is what you think is your weakness could actually be your strength.
That's it. And again, sorry, you're so right, because I think again, so we got to break certain stereotypes. Yeah, we got I class these as yokes and bondages and whatever, because traditionally, especially as guys, we're traditionally told to just hold it down, man up, you know, don't cry, don't express emotion, don't just get on with it. We're traditionally told to do that, and it is a generational thing, and that pattern, it needs to be broken. And I believe that when we communicate, when we talk and we express these things, I mean, you've heard the adage, they say, was it a problem shared is a problem half? Is it good?
Yeah,
problem shared is a problem half.
Yeah.
So I think it really is that when you can be, and I'm not talking we're just got to be blubbering and talking our business all over the place, but when you have a connection, you know, a kind of spiritual connection with somebody, and it can lead to that, you know, then we see those kind of barriers starting to come down. And then, like you said, what you think is a weakness is actually not. It's a strength. You know, and you know, when you've kind of declared, it's like, well, what's anyone now going to do to me?
Yeah.
I've said, you know, what are you going to fire at me when I've already said what you thought was a secret, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's out there, so it's like, come on, what's next? You know, and I think young people do need that. That you young people, I believe that you want truth. You would just want realness, none of this coating stuff. You know, trying to hide this and hide that. And I think sometimes as parents we like to think, well, I'm not going to share this with you because I want to protect you,
your innocence,
and that kind of and but I think these days you can't really do that because the effects of, for example, social media. Don't get me wrong, social media has its pluses, but there are a lot of exactly. And I think if there's already that exposure through social media, then why can't there be that social media? The exposure through parenting. Because a young person is going to see it anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? So why not have it in a much safer space at home? You know what I mean? People that you've grown with, people that have reared you up, people that love you. Why can't that exposure and that realness be there? Yeah. Because you're going to go and get it, find it out there anyway, and now it could be in a different kind of form.
Yeah, sometimes they end up rebelling because they was actually hidden away from it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But leading on from that, it is Men's Mental Health Month. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how are you feeling?
How am I feeling?
How are you feeling?
Mentally?
Yeah.
I'm feeling great, to be honest. And I'm feeling great because I'm able to express and I'm able to talk. You know, if I couldn't talk and I couldn't express, I think, my mental health would be sort of very, very low because you just bottle things up and you suppress them, you start to overthink things, imagine this, imagine that, and there's a whole lot going on. And then your mental health definitely is going to be affected. But me personally, because I have platforms where I can speak out and express, the other stuff then becomes secondary. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I don't need to concentrate on that. Yeah. It can still be dealt with, but the expression helps.
Was you always expressive, or was this something you?
You know what? You'll be surprised. I was I'm a shy person. You know?
Really?
I see that people that say
the same thing.
No, seriously. I wasn't pre going to Nigeria many years ago. I was a very shy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Down low person. But then I think again through the experiences back home, and then you can't be shy in a place like Nigeria. You've got to, you know what I mean? You've got to say your own. And I think that kind of then trained me up, as it were. Came back here, and since then I've been, you know, as I said, I was in marketing. I had a very successful career in marketing, which obviously involves talking to people and doing presentations and whatnot. So I think you build things up from there.
What advice would you give Lambeth to help facilitate more safe hubs for like the youth?
Okay, so what we're doing now, for example, if we can, in conjunction with Lambeth Made, get that exposure going on for I Am In Me, in terms of, you know, channeling our young people through to our organisation. You know, we're based obviously in Lambeth, just up the road there, Oasis, St Martin's Village, neighbours. You know, we're actually recognised by Lambeth as a Be Well hub, so we're not just trying to do a thing now. The actual recognition is there. And we know, as I said, as intervention specialists, so it's not just about mentoring and just talking about things willy-nilly. We go straight to the core. We're looking at the foundational issues, looking at generational issues, you know, where young people may feel bound up with stuff but don't know what the reasons as to why they are like that. And then we have those one-to-ones and the workshops to uplift, to bring those things out, and then look for the look for the solutions. Once they're being addressed, we can find solutions. You know, it gets to the point, I believe now that so many things bubbling around with our young people and adults, by the way. We're looking to do parenting workshops as well. Yeah. Because we've established that, you know, we can work with young people as much as we want, but if the other side, i.e. the parents, aren't being mentored as well, it can potentially undo all the work that's been done with a young person. And then they go back into a setup and we're back to square one. Yeah. So it's about identifying, again, from a parental basis, what certain foundational or generational issues that could be still lurking there, Let's identify what they are. Let's address them, and then look for those sort of prayerful solutions around them. You know, so we've got the complete family unit, you know, being healed, and seeing the real potential of family coming through. Because like I said before, it all starts with the family.
Yeah.
Families
Starts
then
at
build.
home, yeah.
Yeah. So the individual, the family, community, and then society as a whole.
You know, I think that's like really amazing because even when I was like back in school and we'd be learning things about, you know, your mental health, your physical health and just stuff in general,
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that I'd go home and like I'd take and then go home, a lot of like my family were just unaware. They'd be
Yeah.
like, what's this? I never heard of that. Da. So the fact that like what you guys do also incorporate the parents as well as the children, I think that's an amazing thing.
It's a must, Fabian. It's an absolute must. And I think that might have been an area before that was being overlooked. But I think now we're seeing it more and more and more that it's got to be, as you rightly said, you know, as parents, as a parent myself, we can be sometimes kind of stuck in our ways, you know what I mean? We've got our own kind of mindsets, but I think it's going to involve, you know, some kind of humility and some kind of understanding. Listen, if we want our families to be wholesome, you know, we've got to kind of take that step. But we've got to have this attitude that we're still willing to learn. I think that's one of the things, that we believe, okay, as we're parents, I know better. Look, for me, age does not automatically mean wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. I wake up every day and I want to learn. I want to see a new thing. I want to see how a new thing can be implemented. If it's something that I've been doing for years and years and it doesn't work, we're going to change it. They say, look, the definition of madness is when you're repeating the same thing over and over and over and again, but expecting a different result. It's not going to work. So we've got to have that mindset where we want to learn.
Break the cycle. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lovely way to end it. But we're going to play a game called This and That just before we wrap it up.
Well, you want to go first or?
You can.
Okay. Lambeth Market or Brixton High Street?
Yeah.
Which one do you prefer?
Lambeth Market or Brixton High Street?
Yeah.
Probably High Street. Brixton High Street.
I can say Sam, I can't lie. I don't ever go to Lambeth Market.
Where is Lambeth Market?
I think that feels the market just feel, the High Street is just bubbling and buzzing and just different, you know what I mean? Yeah.
101 mentoring or group workshops?
Oh, 1-on-1.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to say group workshops.
Are you talking about what do I prefer? What?
Yeah. What do you prefer?
Yeah, I seriously, I mean the group stuff. I actually prefer the one-on-one.
Yeah.
I think you can kind of go a bit deeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
when it's one-on-one, get a bit more personal. I think there's more vulnerability there on both sides. Yeah.
Street smart or book smart?
I'm going to say, you know. That's fine. Street smarts or book smarts?
Well, I should say book smart, shouldn't I? Really, because that's who you're supposed to gain knowledge. But I think in reality, it's going to be street smart. Yeah, because I think you kind of get a more rounded view, of a more rounded perspective. I think if we can be so, because learning is not just about academia, is it?
Yeah.
And education is not just about academics. You know what I mean? You can be educated on the street as well.
Yeah.
And I feel that even people are doing the road stuff now. I was going to say that, look, the smartness and the articulation in that, if only that was being put into the boardroom, into the right way. Yeah. Imagine how that would be.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good point because even me, I feel like the transition from secondary to college, because I literally lived right next to in the same area of my school, so I didn't have a reason to be going out. So when it was time to travel to college, and I was going to the wrong way, I was nervous, and I didn't really have like confidence to be asking strangers and stuff. But I was good with books, so I was good. I was excelling in school and stuff. But when it came to actually being out in the open world, it was scary. Literally, it's only now I'm able to I'm traveling now by myself, so I'm finally getting the confidence. But I feel like that's one thing as well, that the youth should actually have some sort of assistance, even generally with what's going on with the phone snatching and stuff, just provision of how to just protect yourself and be vigilant. And just the transition from actually leaving the nest to coming out on the roads. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I think it's got to be more, practicalities have
balance,
got to be, got to be a very good balance. And don't get me wrong, the reading stuff, excellent. I mean, I love reading, love it. But like I said, there's got to be that balance there. Yeah. Got to be a balance there,
Listening or speaking?
Again, it should be listening.
I'm saying speaking.
But for me, it's speak. But you got to listen to be able to speak. Surely, yeah. It should be listening. I think listening because I think then you can. When it comes to sort of meeting somebody's need or just helping out, if you haven't listened to where they're coming from, how do you then? You know what I mean? How do you know what to say? So, yeah.
True, but I was gonna say speaking because in certain like settings, you always just have to articulate yourself the correct way.
True.
Whether it's like you're at family gathering, or in a very like high profile space, or even when you're just like with your friends, So,
that confidence thing, just speaking. True. Yeah,
I would say so.
Yeah.
Tough love or gentle encouragement?
Well, again, you see, that's another one.
Tough love.
Are you for tough love?
I'm going for tough love. If I didn't have tough love, I wouldn't do it.
But I see we're the same then, Fabian. I think I'm going to stick with tough love actually.
I think you need a balance.
But you do need a balance.
Because too much tough love can cause suppression, and then that person won't be able to know how to be gentle. All they know is tough love.
True.
So I feel like.
All right, let me give you a scenario. Say, for example, you got a situation, bring young people in again, yeah? And it's a male, for example, and they're just bad. They're just in all kinds, and it's gone to a certain point. What way now has to kick in? Is it going to be the tough love, or is it going to be the gentle encouragement?
I feel like it's like what you said. It's listening to see how you can actually address them. You can be stern with saying like you're doing this wrong, but you can still be attentive in this way. You actually listen to why that's in that way. Because I had a podcast previously like last year, and we was talking about a child is actually a part of the environment. And I personally don't think there's such thing as a bad child. I feel like if you're labeling a child bad, you're not trying to see the root of why that child is reacting to that way. Because a child they don't really know how to navigate themselves unless you teach them. So I feel like if it leads from, as you said, a foundation. If a youth is bad or acting out, sometimes it might be they might be struggling, with understanding with school and stuff, or they might just, ADHD, and that's people only who are of age are only getting diagnosed now. I feel like there's a lack of understanding the mental process, and as I mentioned previously, is that I've lost my train of thought.
You lost your train of thought?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was gonna say a mixture of both, because I feel like, say like in the same scenario that you said, I feel like you would need the tough love first before the gentle encouragement. Because obviously you got to put the tough love first to kind of steer you in that direction, and then the gentle encouragement to kind of keep you going.
I'm going to switch it up there, Faye, because I think there's got to be the encouragement, and then if you're not getting the result from the gentle encouragement, then maybe the tough love's got to come in, because it's like, you know what I mean. But I think what Tara said, I think there has definitely got to be a balance. I think the old school way was just tough love.
Yeah,
it was just like just do this thing. You're supposed to do it. You're not even gonna get any credit for what you've done, because you were supposed to have done it anyway. You know what I mean? That's how I grew up. I'm like, well, but I've just got these grades and I've just achieved them. Like, well, I didn't hear a well done. Yeah, I didn't get any reward. I was like, oh, it's like, well, that's what you're meant to do. What's the big deal? But now I think the gentle encouragement, that nurturing, you know what I mean? The whole mentoring aspect has really got to be there. Yeah, I think some people kind of confuse it and say, well, that we're spoiling a generation, but I think I'll tap more into your point there, Tara, where because you from a foundational point, we don't know what people are carrying, and sometimes the young person doesn't even know themselves. Yeah, but they're just manifesting something, but they don't know why and what it is. So I think that gentle thing has got to be there, but I think there's got to be a kind of balance, yeah, and there's got to be a kind of boundary. You can't keep on doing this gentle to the detriment then of, you know what I mean, of the individual.
Yeah. Old school garage or Afro beats? I feel like this one's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. Is it going to be Afro beats? Is it?
I mean, I'm going with Afro beats. You guys know it?
No, I'm not a garage man. It's going to be Afro beats. Yeah, it's going to be the Afro beats. Yeah.
Texting or voice notes?
Whoa,
this is a hard one. I still have my gripes.
I'm a texter. Right, but I feel that sometimes these text messages can go the wrong way. So now I've started to do voice notes, which work better. But I don't like the sound of my voice on the voice note. That's the problem. So
Same thing. I
Yeah.
feel like my voice got too high. And I'm like, nah. Let me just reset it. Let me just lower the octave.
you see,
Legacy or impact?
bit of both. I think probably yeah. I mean legacy, yeah, because we again one of our things that we want to be creating a generational legacy. Right, but I think the impact is like, what's the impact of that legacy going to be?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they can kind of intertwine with each other there. But yeah, I'm going to lean more towards the legacy that we're trying to create.
I was gonna say the legacy just for like with legacy things are already set in stone. So like even before you get to the impact, the bars have already been set. Whereas the impact you kind of got to like build yourself up for the impact to be worth anything.
Yeah, I would say you need to have an impact in order to have a legacy. If you ain't set impact, why is anyone going to look at you as a legend?
True.
Unlocking gifts or resetting mindsets. You can't say both.
Well, my thing has always been resetting mindset. It's going to be resetting mindset. Because I believe when you reset, well, I can't have both, but I think they can lead in. Can't they?
Yeah.
So you're resetting your mindset to unlock the potential.
Yeah.
That's very true. But then I'm just thinking about gifts. Like, what if your gift is you're a crazy surgeon? And you can save like most people from any illness. At that point, I can't lie, I might have to go with the gift.
So the mindset doesn't need to be reset, does it? Because the gift's already out there. The gift's already been, it's manifested, isn't it? It's happening.
Not switching back, reset mindsets.
And that is a wrap. Thank you so much for coming, Shola.
Thank you.
Really
Oh, thank you.
appreciate your time and the information you give us was actually golden. Is there anywhere they can find you?
On social media.
Yeah, so it's going to be via the iamandme.co.uk website. Look at our social media handles on Instagram. We've got a TikTok page on Real Talk Mentors. So we're still trying to formulate these and revamp them. And we need some young people to help us, you know what I mean, make them more impacted. Because us old, and I'm not going to say old, us young at heart people are not, we're not up there. So we're trying to really just restructure those. So hopefully we can, give you more pertinent handles. But yeah, definitely website is going to be www.iamandme.co.uk. And then, as I said, Instagram would be the I Am In Me. TikTok would be Real Talk Mentors.
Lovely.
Well, that's been your host, Tyra.
And Fabian.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And subscribe.
And peace.
Bye.